cup of tea point right over there, out of the wind and sheltered from the rain. And this is where I decided to come in and shelter from this storm that's happening outside at the moment. And it looks like someone else is maybe permanently living here, or got the same idea as me. It's sad to see that here in New Zealand, to be honest, but it's also understandable. It's an expensive country to live in, despite being a welfare country with good options. Sometimes it's just people slip through the cracks. And here we go. I might sit over in this part here, cook up a cup of tea. Right, so here we are sitting under the bridge. I don't know if you can see this too well, but it is under a bridge and it is pouring with rain out there. You might be able to see it reflecting off the water, and we're just down here under the bridge. Probably going to set up and have a cup of tea to keep warm. So we might crank that out, eh? So I was going out to do a bit of a video on preparedness and looking at the surroundings around you. Wellington's a big city, well, big compared to Christchurch. It's the capital city of New Zealand. There's a lot of tall buildings here comparatively, and there's a lot of glass. So every day I go to work, we had a reasonable quake the other day, quite sizable in fact. I think about, you know, how would this city cope, and what are the dangers that lie around us if we survive that initial quake or that initial disaster. And the dangers that, you know, I can see where I am is falling glass and very limited access to the city as far as roadways go, and you know, if you're cut off from those, and you know, if you do survive the initial situation, then you're running outside and you get hit by falling glass, and you know, there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to a disaster scenario or something like that. And while I was out there considering that, woohoo! And that was off too, didn't expect that. Obviously had a bit of pressure built up in that for some reason. Very strange. Hopefully that's not going to be an issue, but we'll light it up and see anyway. And this weather came in, so luckily I've got to, you know, sort of carry this mini cook set with me when I go out for walks, and I've got my survival kit, and I've got my my urban survival kit here. This is got all my cords and food bar and all that sort of jazz in it. Got my first aid kit, my cooker, some water, enough for a sort of a get myself out of trouble if I get into it, and then all sorts of gadgets and stuff on my pack. But anyway, we'll crank this up and get a better update now, idea of what the weather's doing. It's sort of certainly turning to custard there. And instead of paying $5 for a cup of tea over at that fancy coffee shop there, or cafe, I'm going to crank it out for about 10 cents down here, maybe 20 cents, including gas. This cooker that I'm using is the Optimus 1, I think, or Prime. Really cool titanium stove. Oh, the Optimus Crux, sorry. Really very lightweight, works with these nice jet boil canisters, and works a dream. So we'll get some water cranking into that. Get that started up. See, that's doing really well against that wind too. Great lighter, that one. I did a video of that on recently, so check that out if you want. Here we've got the water. crank that up and we'll boil that away. I might have a green tea today. Oh, it's not green tea. What have we got? We've got this Korean tea. It's a tea that makes your body feel lighter with 17 different ingredients in that, supposedly. So all types of grains and so on. But anyway, it's quite a tasty, lightweight tea. That's what I've got on hand, so that's what I'll be drinking. Jeepers. Would not want to be caught out in that, that's for sure. Wow. Alright, well, due to the tea bag catching on fire, I had to remove that, and I'll put that in once that water's boiling. And this is this pot that I'm using is the the GSI Paleolite Minimalist, which is a one-person sort of minimalist setup. The stove itself and the gas cooker, the gas canister and everything fits in there really nicely, so a great product to see. You can see that waste pipe there that's flowing out, the water that's draining out, and it's really coming out there. Quite a bit of water. Alright, so that water is pretty much boiled now. You see that stem's coming off it. There it goes at a nice rolling boil. Going to turn that off. Yeah, the cool thing about this minimalist setup here is that it actually comes with a nice neoprene sleeve here. So what I'm going to do is just grab this, transfer that into the neoprene sleeve. Put in the tea bag there. And we'll be ready to drink in a few minutes once it's had some time to seep. So I'll just leave that on there. The neoprene sleeve means that this is no longer too hot to handle, and it works really, really well. This, on the other hand, is still very, very hot, and we'll need to sit out a bit to cool down because it melted my tent last time. It was so hot, even after a few minutes. So we'll let that sit for a while and then enjoy that. We've been outside now about an hour under this bridge. Still raining slightly out there, but not too bad. Anyway, it's about time to pack up. The rain sort of eased quite a lot, so it's probably time to go home and not get too saturated. I'll put all this stuff in the dry bag and get the hell out of here. My cup of tea's still piping hot. It's one of the bonuses to this setup that I've got here. This neoprene sleeve on this cooker, this cooker, I guess, or pot, just keeps it warm for a very long time. So I even added some cold water to cool it down a bit so I can drink it faster and get out of here. But I mean, I've been here 45 minutes to almost an hour and it's still warm, so a fantastic setup there. Might do a bit of a video on that product as well, because it's one of the better things that I bought in my time, and see how that goes. anywho, I'll get out of here and catch you guys in another video. So take care, keep safe out there. Like I said, I came out here to do some footage of some of the beautiful parts of Wellington, and this happened, although I knew the weather forecast, but it came over pretty quickly. Very strong rain, and you can see people out there still wearing t-shirts and singlets and short skirts and long skirts and pants, and they're all saturated, so they haven't got nothing with them to prepared for this. You know, I was thinking before it came, what is it like to live unprepared or to not consider that sort of stuff, and why is it that people don't consider these things as a possibility? Even an umbrella, for example, would have been useful today to keep with them. I'm happy with this top. It's semi-water resistant. It's a Gore-Tex windstopper jacket. It's probably about 10 years old now, but it's still doing well. It's an example of the quality that Macpac used to make, and how well these things live on, because it looks pretty newish, but it's actually had a hard life. So, you know, I'm sitting here comfortably having a cup of tea, waiting out the weather, whereas other people are drenched and miserable. And I don't expect that everyone will carry around a gas cooker and all that sort of jazz, but it does make me wonder how people get caught out so often here in Wellington, where the weather's never good, or seldom, you know, it changes so rapidly. Why does they choose not to carry things like umbrellas or jackets or things like that? And if they don't prepare for that sort of thing, which happens on a regular basis, are they preparing for things that might happen on a less regular basis, like an earthquake, like a tsunami? Funnily enough, maybe 300-400 meters back this way, where the sort of city starts, and then another kilometre back where my apartment is, there are things on the footpath specifically stating 100 years ago the water line was at this level. Now this is all reclaimed land. If there was an earthquake or a tsunami, it's very likely that it's going to come in that far into town and damage a lot of stuff. So I wonder if people think about that here, or if ignorance, or ignorance is just a better plan to not think about it. It's definitely a cheaper plan in the short term, but not if something happens. But anyway, that's what I've been thinking about today, and also the surroundings around me, and how, having been through a few earthquakes, which is my experience of disasters, and a flood in Australia, and I guess cyclones and bushfires, it makes me consider that these things do happen, and they happen randomly, and they come out of the blue, and you've got to be prepared to some extent. So yeah, I'd like to chat to a few people here in the city and just see what preps they do make, just random people on the street, and what they think about or don't think about for most people, and if it's ever a part of their daily life, considering what could happen. And I'll be heading down to Christchurch next weekend again for my niece's first birthday, so I've only got a very short time there, but there's a few videos I want to do this time, and I'm going to make sure that happens, to show you guys what's happening there, the good and the bad, and also this new product that I'm looking to sell here in New Zealand, that's been pushed onto me by a friend in Australia. That's for those people that are interested in biking and mountain biking and road biking. It might interest you guys. It's a real upcoming product, and yeah, it might be a chance for me to get out of the rat race a bit, and just get out on the road and see more of the country as well. So we'll see how that goes. That's all cost dependent and life dependent. So I'll catch you guys in another video. This is Phil signing out from Wellington, next 72 hours. Keep safe and keep prepared. I'll sketch you around. Bye.